On October 21st and 22nd, join indie podcasters from all around the world at the 5th Annual Afros and Audio Podcast Festival, the first 2-day conference for and by Black indie podcast creatives and audio professionals. This year's conference will be held at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum in downtown Baltimore, Maryland, or virtually on the Hoover Event app for exclusive online sessions. Stay with us at the Renaissance Harbor Place Hotel and experience 2 days of panels, workshops, networking opportunities, and live entertainment for aspiring, new, and established podcast creatives. Don't miss one of the most anticipated events in the podcast industry, committed to community and collaboration since 2019. Learn more and purchase your tickets at afrosandaudio.com. See you there.
Q Points, the podcast that drops the needle on Black music history, is hosting a live taping on International Podcast Day on Saturday, September 30th at 2 p.m. in Atlanta.
Q Points has never shied away from discussions about health and fitness. For us, it's not just about the music, it's about moving more too. We are joining with master trainer and Fit360 owner Fitzroy Smith and singer-songwriter Kipper Jones for a candid discussion about music, wellness, and physical activity.
Make sure you come in your workout gear. Be a part of a live Q Points taping and enjoy a free workout session with us at Fit360.
Meet us at 700 Miami Circle Northeast in Buckhead.
Space is limited. RSVP at qpnt.net/fitness factor. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Q Points podcast. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegate the Third. That was our intro. The intro didn't know what to do.
Listen, because Q Points podcast continues to drop the needle on Black music history, but we needed a little break. And I think the intro had a break also. So it's kind of getting its footing back because it's been like, what, a week? Since you guys have seen us live. And so the intro was just like, I don't know. I'm feeling a little foreign here, but listen, welcome back. I'm very glad to see everybody that's tuned in. J Ray, I'm glad to see you. Mm-hmm. The last time we were live, you were on vacation. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we didn't have a show was thanks to Idalia, right?
Idalia came on through Myrtle Beach, kids, and that internet was like, I don't know.
So instead of risking it, we were like, you know what, J-Ray, take care of you, take care of the family, enjoy your vacation, enjoy your break, and we'll get back to it. And it's been a nice little time off. Last weekend, I was able to celebrate my birthday. It's been 48 summers, y'all, and I feel blessed to still be here. And it was just a nice, you know what, Jerry, I won't front. When you get all the messages, and thank you to everybody that sent messages, whether they were texts, DMs, Facebook posts, Twitter posts, all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate it, and I'm very thankful to y'all for reaching out. And those things matter, Jerry. Well, they matter to me because, it reminds you that people rock with you and people, actually do love you. And when they recognize that, your birthday and the reason why you're here, it's nice. It's really nice that I don't go OD and celebrate the whole month and all that kind of stuff because, I'm grown. I'm an older man. And a lot of people think it's sassy for a man to celebrate his birthday.
I think that's so interesting. I don't know. Let people have their joy. Let Black folks be joyous and celebrate their birthdays for a whole month. DJ Sir Daniel, if you wanted to celebrate your birthday the whole month of September, we would celebrate it right here. We gon' whatever you want to do. You like, I'm celebrating all month. Okay.
Right. Well, my birthday proceeds a very important person's birthday. My birthday is the day before Beyonce's birthday. And J Ray, we gotta acknowledge
Yeah.
what we witnessed.
Yeah.
It was literally, if y'all didn't know, Diana Ross sang happy birthday to Beyonce on stage during her birthday concert of the Renaissance World Tour.
Yeah.
And that was a huge symbolic moment,
Yeah.
guys. I don't know if you realize that, but that was a big moment to have Diana Ross, the boss, come out and acknowledge Beyonce on her birthday and as an entertainer. That was literally a passing of the scepter, a passing of the crown, if you will.
Yeah. That made me so happy. I think what made me most happy is watching a gleeful Beyonce run probably quarter of a mile, because that's a huge stage.
Yeah.
And for Miss Ross not to know that Beyonce was going to do that. So that's the other thing that I was reminded of, right? Is that when you're doing things that large, you don't always get to see the people, right? I don't know that Diana Ross expected to see Beyonce, right? She was there to do a job, and her job was to sing happy birthday to Beyonce. But of course, Beyonce runs out on stage in costume and gives Miss Ross a hug and like gives it a moment, because she's like, she doesn't expect me to be here. And watching that embrace, watching Miss Ross's face, where she's like, oh my God, like, you're right here.
Like,
and it's you. And then watching Beyonce's embrace from behind of like, oh my God, like, I was not going to miss being on stage with a woman who I have learned things from, because it's very clear we can see Beyonce's references in all of the performances, and Diana Ross is absolutely, every time we see that wind blowing and all of that grand glitter and that is Diana Ross down.
The the sequence bodysuit.
Yep.
That's Diana Ross at Central Park.
Yep.
But in a different color and a different design.
Yep.
Cook, absolutely right. Diana Ross is all up and through the DNA of Renaissance and Beyonce as the person, as the performer. And you're absolutely right. That was a very significant moment. And I was glad to see it so well received, And just a quick shout out to all the Virgos celebrating birthdays, including Nas, Luda, Sylvester, Jermaine Stewart, Michael Jackson. The list goes on. I'm in great company. And yeah, it just makes me really happy. Speaking of Foxy Brown, y'all, Jerry had me cracking up because the last episode, the show that dropped this week, of course, was about Foxy Brown, who celebrated her birthday, her 45th birthday. And Jerry hit me up and was like, I'm looking at the I'll Be video. And he had me cracking. He's like, Jay-Z is a complete statue in this video.
Yeah.
And I thought about it and I was like, you're absolutely right. While Foxy is grinding up on him and doing her thing and being Foxy Brown, he's standing there stiff as ever. And I told J-Ray, I was like, you know what, listener? It's probably because J-Ray is like, Jay-Z is scared to grind up on this child.
Yes.
He's sharing. That's in the
video. Like, there's video evidence. Like, he's like, I can't act like I am connected to this in any way.
Right. Because she was all of 16, maybe 17 at the time. And I think it dawned on him and he was like, yeah, I'm already saying stuff that's kind of suspect, talking about, don't shake your sassy ass in front of me. And he's like, yeah, I can't have me pumping up behind you in this video. But it was very funny to watch because I was like, he certainly is stiff. But then again, J-Ray, Jay-Z is not the most rhythmically gifted person. If you look at him, like he did that struggle electric slide at the tour, at his his wife's tour. So dancing is not his strong suit. That's
Mm,
not his wheelhouse.
So I know this is the Hot Topics show, but watching that made me long for when male rappers danced. Like
Mhm.
we came up in the era of like Big Daddy Kane and LL and Heavy D like hitting full choreography.
Yes.
And you know, that is just a thing of the past. There's no, I don't know. Lil Nas X is the only rapper who has the freedom to dance, and he's still learning how to do it. So,
Yeah. And his performances are far few in between now. It's like a
Mhm,
lot of the ladies are really taking it. And we're going to discuss a few of them in our Hot Topics show.
mhm,
Listener, it's been a while, so J Ray and I are catching up. So bear with us. But J Ray, just so the listener doesn't forget, please remind them how they can maintain contact with Cute Points, keep up with what you and I are up to, like the
mhm.
fact that we're going to be in Baltimore next month at Afros and Audios. Let them know how they can stay abreast of all the things Cute Points related.
Absolutely. So check it, y'all. Stay up with Q Points by doing this. One, you are here with us. Um, watching and listening. So the first thing that you can do is just hit subscribe. If you want to go, and that's free. That's completely free and it's really effective. The second thing that you can do is share the show. You know what I mean? One of the things that is really important about podcasts is that a lot of people don't know what to listen to. If you tell them what to listen to or what to watch on their YouTube or wherever they watch video, they'll listen because you're their friend and they love you and you might enjoy it. So let folks know. If you want to go a step further, you can sign up for our mailing list, which you absolutely should. We are going to have something special coming as it relates to Afros and audio. We actually have a free pass that we are going to gift to someone, but you got to sign up for the mailing list so you can know how to do it. Okay. So magazine.qpoints.com. Go on over there. And you could be hanging out with me and Sir Daniel in Baltimore. Now, we're not paying for no flights and we're not paying for
No,
the
no, no,
hotel
no,
because
no,
we
no.
can't afford those
Mm-mm.
things. But what we can do is cover the Afros and audio entrance for one lucky person in the Q Points universe. So
Right.
magazine.qpoints.com. Join the mailing list. Last but not least, you can subscribe. If you like, listen, I want to keep the lights on over at Q Points Land, all these fancy lights that we have. You can become a subscriber by clicking the subscribe button at our website. And that's another great way to stay up. You can also buy gear on our store at store.qpoints.com.
Speaking of gear, you know what I saw at House in the Park? Every time I hear about House in the Park, I think about you because I
Oh,
know
let's
that
see.
that's guys, listeners, that is a spiritual experience for people like J Ray and Carlton, who was
Mhm.
representing Q Points
Oh, yeah. Thank you,
in our
Carlton.
gear
Yes.
at House in the Park. Always got to shout out Carlton because he's always going to represent Q Points no matter where he goes. And I absolutely adore that. And I'm starting to think I heard from our friend,
Mhm.
Fonda. She gave me a call while she was at House in the Park to say happy birthday. And I was like, you know what? All of my friends are at House in the Park right now. Literally, like Peppermint Gaddy, Kimberly, Warrior Mama, all of
Mhm.
those people, they were at House in the Park. And I was like, why am I fighting the House in the Park spirit? Why am I not there? So next year, who knows? Sir Daniel might make an appearance at House in the Park to represent with my fam out there, and I might do a little two step in the middle of the tennis court, so you just might see that.
Q Points live at a booth at House in the Park could be
I'm here for
totally,
that.
totally fun. If y'all would be down to see us over, we get a booth at House in the Park and we do some Q Point stuff. We have some conversations. Let us know. That could be fun.
You know what? You put it that way, I'm down for all of that because we've also got we're on a roll as far as live performances because at the end of this month
Mm-hmm.
we'll be having our first live appearance, and we're going to talk about that more as more details unfold. But J Ray, I know I'm veering off a script, so let's get to it. We need to start talking about these hot topics, the things that have been going on. And first up, that we have to talk about, we were going to touch this. So the announcement was made that Diddy, the headlines, of course, are really salacious.
Right.
Diddy is giving back publishing to old bad boy artists. And boom, that's that. So people are like, what? Because let's face it, J Ray, Diddy has a legacy of not treating artists fairly. I think
Absolutely.
is a fair statement to say. It's not anything that we've said, but it's been well documented that a lot of people don't feel like they were treated fairly during their experiences at Bad Boy Records. So, again, the headline came out stating that he is returning or making publishing available to former Bad Boy artists. Um, I guess to make them whole or because he's feeling benevolent. I don't know. What did you think when you first heard the news? Because I had feelings. I was like,
I have,
okay,
I have feelings. Okay, let me first say this. To absolve Diddy a little bit, the deals that he had those artists in were not uncommon at the time, right? So let's just
true,
acknowledge that. Like that was very common in the music business. This is why TLC ain't make no money, why they had to file for bankruptcy. It's why Tony Braxton done been up in bankruptcy court 3,000 times. It's just the way the ball bounced in the industry back at that time. So here's the thing. So I first heard about this. I was actually driving back. It was Saturday, and my brother was sitting in the back, and he said, "Oh, this is an interesting headline. Diddy's apparently giving all the publishing back." And what I said to him was, "It's too late now." Like, I was like, Sean done been to jail, Loon been to jail, Black Rob died, G Dep in jail, like Biggie dead, like
the
so
honestly, the Locks and Faith are the only ones that have
no,
come away unscathed. Or
absolutely.
and the Locks really had to fight tooth and nail. Like they
Yep.
had to threaten bodily violence against Diddy. Craig
Craig
Mack is
Mack,
gone.
Craig Mack is gone. So I'm like, Black Rob could have used that whoa money at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like with he at that time. So I am like, sure, you know, maybe it will spark some of these other folks to do the same thing.
Mhm.
If they have the if they have it sold off their catalogs at this point, because so many
Right.
of them have for huge paydays. But so that was my thought. I don't sure, you know what I'm saying. I will
Exactly.
sure I will say that of all of the groups, it's funny that you mentioned the Locks because I didn't think of them yesterday. But I think the only ones that have any possibility of still reaping some real benefits from this, definitely the R&B artists like Faith and 112. But the
Mhm.
Locks too. I
Total.
think Total. Well, I don't know that they wrote up. Yeah, but yes, Total too. Um, I I think the Locks can get some more out of that catalog as well. But I don't know that the other ones. I don't know that the other folks can. I think it's just too long.
Yeah, because we've got what Danity Kane,
Mm-hmm.
Day 26, those people that came during the making the band era.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? Oh, the white boy.
Oh,
That's that's a
I remember his face, but I don't
yeah,
remember his
he's
name.
the one that's married to Megan Fox.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a whole he's changed genres of music and
Mm-hmm.
has become his own star in his own right. But I just thought it was interesting because J Ray, he's dropping a new Brother Love album, and it features a lot of artists.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, these things are coinciding at the same time because the album is coming out, because he's kind of having a Diddy Dirty Money reunion,
Yeah.
and he's got like the roster of people that are going to be featured on this album. I really don't know how he's gonna, like, he's gonna get drowned out, if you ask me, as far as the sound is concerned. And that might be the point, because at this point, what does Diddy have to say to us, or the new generation for that matter? Because I think they mostly know him as Carisha's sugar daddy at this point. If you
Yeah. I think I was pleasantly surprised when I saw the list of artists. I'm really happy that Diddy Dirty Money is rekindled, because they've all, well, Kalina and Dawn have been
no.
like, it ended too soon. Like, it didn't need to end. Like, he should have kept it going, but
Mhm.
he ended it so quickly. So I'm happy to see that, because listen, Last Train to Paris, that album still goes. Okay. Like,
So hard.
that album goes. So I'm with you. I think the point might be Diddy moving into his, musical Svengali sphere of like, what I do is I engineer
Great.
hits. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? And that's not a bad place to be when you are Diddy. It's kind of, maybe this is his way of saying, no, what I want to be remembered for is I helped to engineer sounds. And so let's see what comes out.
Let's see what comes out in the wash. I thought it was, you and I have shared this in our meetings a lot, that we are kind of nonplussed that he hasn't been a part of any of the hip hop
Yep.
50 celebrations. It's still, we still have the last quarter of the year, to see if he pops up in any of the celebrations, or if Bad Boy is a part of the legacy. But I do agree with you that he's moving into his I feel like he's moving into his Quincy Jones era.
Yeah.
He's, or at least trying,
Trying to.
to assimilate what Quincy Jones did in his career. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, because is Diddy going to have any kind of Grammy tributes in the future? You know, will that happen? Will there even be a Grammys show in the future? Who who will be nominated for Grammys? Will real
Computers.
people will real people even be nominated for Grammys in the future? Because at this point, it's already started, Jerry. We mark our words. Q Point always has his fingers on the pulse of everything. When we did our show about the machines are coming, the
Mm-hmm.
machines are here.
Mm-hmm.
An AI generated song, that AI generated song that we talked about earlier this year,
Mm-hmm.
I believe by Drake and The Weeknd,
Mm-hmm.
is being nominated for a Grammy. And I think at this point, nobody knows what to do. I think I really do believe at this point, they're kind of just making up the rules as they go along.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a continuation. So here's the deal. The head of the Grammy Committee has been making these grand announcements about AI things for at least the last 6 months. And they've been getting more and more interesting. So the most recent one that you sent me, Sir Daniel, was that AI songs that were written by human beings can be nominated. So, because before it was like no AI songs, and then it was like, well, no songs that are fully AI. And then it's like AI songs can be nominated if they're written by people. So at first it was like no AI. Then it was like, well, it has to have some humans. And now it's like, okay, it could be AI written by humans. So it's all very confusing at this point. And honestly, y'all, what we are witnessing right now is the stuff that there have been smart people talking about the chaos of artificial intelligence for years. One, the music industry has been using some form of AI for decades at this point. It's why everybody sound like the way they sound. um, so that's not foreign. The music industry isn't foreign. What is new is how good. When we heard Sir Daniel that Jay-Z verse or that AI Jay-Z verse, it was like that does sound like an old Jay-Z verse right there. It sounds like him. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's going to be able to be nominated for Grammys anymore, Sir Daniel, and the Grammys don't know.
They don't. So, like you, listener, we are just going to sit and wait and see what happens. Unfortunately, the Grammys have kind of lost its luster. There you ask a lot of people, especially people in the industry, are they say that the Grammys don't hold as much weight as they used to.
Mhm.
Um, we don't get the kind of performances, historical performances like we used to. I mean, there's just a lot that goes along with what is missing from the magic of what the Grammys used to be. And I think maybe just is something that we just have to accept,
Yeah.
as the Gen Xers, slash dinosaurs now, we can keep talking about glory days, and those glory days might just be behind us completely. I feel bad for our contemporaries, and for the young people that are coming up behind us that don't get to soak in that culture and get that, have those cultural moments that we can sink our teeth into, and hold on to those memories for life. But that's neither here nor there. That's just an old man speaking.
Yeah.
About
No, I think you're right. I think you're on it. I don't know. I'm wondering if we do need to rewind some of the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not throw away the advancements, because I think so many of the advancements are actually can be helpful, right? But but make sure that young folks also understand um some of the things that used to happen in the past. I was listening to a report yesterday about professors and teachers learning to embrace chat gpt, because now chat gpt can write like 14-page essays in like minutes.
mm,
And what does that mean for like students? You know what I'm saying? Whereas before, when you needed to answer something, you had to lean over, you know what I'm saying, and hope your good friend over there, you know what I'm saying, is gonna let you peek at that answer. But you don't have to do that now, right? So I don't know. I think we have to adjust to this new stuff while still embodying and teaching some of the lessons. That's the thing.
I agree. And I will say that what I have been hearing a lot lately, because I get to spin R&B joints at my weekend gig and play a lot of slow jams. Jerry, I'm hearing a lot of newer artists pulling from those those crispy 80s R&B sounds, the nice synthesizers, the young person Breezy
Mm-hmm.
came out with a dope R&B jam that I played, and it slaps.
Mm-hmm.
And she I don't know what pronouns they go by. I can't remember, so don't hate me.
Mm-hmm.
But they
Mm-hmm.
came out with a great R&B jam. Victoria Monet's new project slaps and has some really nice R&B sounds that are reminiscent of what we grew up on. And it's fun. And I say that to say, because in our live chat, Marcus mentioned that a lot of contemporary music is forgettable, and there are hardly any classics anymore. J-Ray, when you and I think of classics, we think of Luther, we think of Diana Ross. Well, we want to give it up for a classic that ain't going nowhere. As a matter of fact,
No, it is a black music
uh,
jam. It is so huge.
the blackest ass song you could ever think of that will it deserves an encore because it's Encore by Cheryl Lynn. That song turned 40
Yes.
last week,
Yes.
about a week ago since this
Oh,
show
you
was
know
airing.
what? Yeah. Actually, it's coming up. So it's coming up. It'll be
It's
40 in
coming up.
December. Yeah.
Okay,
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis come
listen,
through.
listen. When that song comes on, it's like I don't know. It's like watching a rocket launch.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
way it builds up that it's like, it's like, oh yeah, we're in for it. And
Yep.
your body starts to roll uncontrollably. I automatically transform into a white linen suit with some chancletas and a hat to match. It just puts me in the best mood ever, and I automatically start doing the electric slide. It's just that
Yes.
there's aren't a few there are a few songs that have that effect that will do that to you. Frankie Beverly and Maze, of
Yeah.
course, Before I Let Go. But Encore,
Yeah.
let's talk about Encore and the gift that Cheryl Lynn is, and I'm so thankful that she's still here with us.
Yeah.
So, and she's on Twitter too, which I love. And I hope she knows that we absolutely adore and are so thankful that she's giving us so many hits,
Yeah.
including Encore. She's given the Greek
Yes.
major hit. So we have to shout Cheryl Lynn out for Encore and the video.
Yeah, so this is interesting, y'all. Because let's bring this in now because it also beat 40 this year, interestingly enough, is the Weather Girls It's Raining Men, which
Another
also
classic.
another classic, co-written by Paul Schaefer, the Paul Schaefer who went on
From the
the
Dave
Late
Letterman
Show, the
show.
David Letterman show.
Mhm.
So the video for Encore, so Sir Daniel and I, as we were like, I don't even know how this came up. I think you might have mentioned it, but when we were looking at it, it's like the video for Encore is so interesting because you have Cheryl Lynn and then you have dancers. So you have exotic dancers. They're not quite strippers because they're more like Chippendales, right? And you have Cheryl Lynn like, cooing and doing this thing and the dancers are dancing. But the same thing in 83, you have the Weather Girls having the same experience, right? They have these exotic dancers that are dancing with them and da 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 da. And we started to ask the question, like, why were, black women of size paired with like exotic
With strippers, yeah.
dancers, with strippers in videos? And what was that about? What does that mean? Because that was very interesting. So both of these songs at the exact same time have very similar kind of video treatments.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And there was a very 80s move. I think it was because Mark brings up a good point about the storyline of the song
Yep.
Encore about a date. And I think the video treatments reflected the view of women being in more control. Because Jerry, I'm watching a very riveting documentary series on Essence magazine right now on OWN.
Oh yeah, I want to check that out.
So good. It is so good. And they talk about the 80s and how the 80s was really the time of when Black women, especially, were coming into educational power and economic power. And so the music and the visuals for the music probably had to reflect that. And what's one way that a woman can show power is having a man an exotic dancer be there to be at her beck and call,
Mhm.
and to have the control of the money because she's paying them to
Mhm.
perform for her, kind of thing. Even though I don't think there was any money in the
Mhm.
videos, I
Right.
can't recall. But you get that that's the underlying
Yeah.
story is that I'm getting money, I got a bag and I could take care of you, and that's a very ladies of the 80s theme. And so I'm
Mm.
thinking that might have been part of it. But I also see that Carlton in the chat, y'all, if you're not part of the live show, y'all have got to join the live show because you can join in, and the chat room is buzzing.
Yes.
But Carlton, and we've talked about this, if you were a woman of size in that era, record labels didn't necessarily know how to market you. So when it came time for album releases and video releases, if you're a woman of size, they like to keep the frames, the
Like
camera
fake.
shots,
Yep.
the pictures very tight on your face. Everything was about your face. They didn't want to show any body. If your body was showing, you were draped in some
Mhm.
type of moo type of outfit that
Mhm.
couldn't show any curves or anything. So I would agree that it's probably another tactic of putting the male exotic dancers in the video is to take the focus off of the physical appearance of these women because they were women of size.
Yep.
But yes, those are my theories.
Yeah.
Again, Q points. We love to give you a theory, and yeah, Diana's. We talked about Carlton. You must have been in our meeting, but we
Right.
talked about Diana Ross's muscles as well, right, Johnny?
We
J. Ray,
did. Yeah. I think that came out the year prior. Muscles, written by Michael Jackson, written and produced
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. And what's interesting is when you juxtapose Muscles to It's Raining Men and to Encore. Diana was very skip. Well, Diana, she showed skin, so
All the
Diana
time.
was going to give you a
A
gown and a
shoulder and
shoulder and lots of
a
hair.
leg and breathing heavily.
Right. So, but we wanted to show love to these powerhouse songs. Encore is such a classic. It's one of those songs that transcends generations. I have met younger folks who don't know a lot about like older music, quote unquote, but they know that song because it is such a well written, well produced, timeless song that speaks to a generation. And listen, if y'all haven't, go back and listen to our Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis show. We didn't talk about Encore in that show, but we were hanging out with our brother Daryl. Shout out to Daryl. But yeah, go check out our Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis show where we gave them some love.
Because one thing, an element that is in Encore that I think all of us respond to is a good double clap.
Yeah.
It's a good double clap, and something that'll make you body roll. And we have to pay homage to these women, especially because their influence still shows up today.
Mm-hmm.
We have an artist. I know, a lot of people are scared to speak her name right now for legal matters,
Right.
but we've got Lizzo, who
Mhm.
is a direct descendant of
Yep.
uh 2 Tons of Fun, the Weather
Mm-hmm.
Girls, and Cheryl Lynn, but she has the agency in the 2020s to be comfortable in her body and show off all of her curves and to still put other people in the position of objectifying them
Mm-hmm.
in the videos. We're
Right.
speaking we're speaking
In the
strictly about the
videos. We
videos.
talked about the
And
videos.
yeah, and how much of a reference and an influence that these ladies have had even today.
Yeah. I think that's really important. Despite all the stuff that is happening with Lizzo at the moment, because child, we know now apparently she's suing the dancers now.
Hey,
Whatever.
that's
It's
that's American.
it's very
You
American.
sue me, I sue you.
Exactly. But you are absolutely right in that it is these women, these black women, these fat black women, these black women of size that had to, the Martha Washes of the world and all these folks that had to cover up who they were and their sexuality to allow Lizzo to walk in her fullness.
Mhm.
And that should be commended. You know what I mean? So, and that's why I'm always really weird about, you could say, I've always been really weird about the way people talk about Lizzo, because it's always very much about her weight,
For
and
sure.
it's so annoying. And I'm like, y'all just was looking. So when we talked about this on the show, when this lawsuit happened, it was like, oh, y'all was waiting for a reason to just like not
Mhm.
like this woman, because y'all already didn't like her.
All the memes, all the gifts, all everybody became a stand-up comedian on the social medias. All the fat jokes, you had them all in the chamber, just ready for Lizzo, just waiting for the moment. So we peeped at y'all. But J Ray, okay, so we're up against a break.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been chatting nonstop. We
Mm-hmm.
missed y'all. We
Yeah.
have a lot to get off our chest. Um, Thinking back about Diana Ross sharing the stage with Beyonce, and Diana being surprised by Beyonce on stage. When we come back, we're going to talk about another
Somebody else.
legend who was surprised on stage, but it wasn't as nice a reception as Diana Ross and Beyonce's moment. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that along with some other things. But you are in tune to Q Points podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will be right back after this.
What's the word, everybody? This your man, Mr. Al Peter, Mr. Peterson's Neighborhood, and the MPN Network. And I'm here today to tell you about what the MPN Network consists of. The MPN Network is an entertainment as well as a developing media company based in Jacksonville, Florida. Our goal is to highlight various creatives that exist in spaces of music, visual arts, podcasting, and more. Within the network, we have multiple brands that will parallel with creatives, events, and other brands. The Neighborhood Podcast Network is a collective of independent podcast shows that has various topics ranging from the latest culture news, mental health, sports, and leisure conversations. We also have the Groove Suite brand that explores the realm of soul, hip-hop, R&B, funk, and more. The Groove Suite. Our health and beauty section gives a view on how to keep yourself in shape, in style, and in tune with your body and your mental. Last, we have the Fly Socks and Tees, an annual summer event that brings creatives together to celebrate the past years and victories that were received. So swing by our website, mpn-llc.com, and subscribe so you can stay up on what's happening with the neighbors and the groovers. Also follow us on our Facebook page as well as Instagram and Twitter, MPN Management. Building but becoming to the top.
Yo, to the top indeed. Shout out to our good brother down in Florida, Mr. Al Pete. We highly encourage y'all to follow the MPN Network. Go to MrAlPete.com and just like scroll through all the things. Al has got records, he's got podcasts. If you're trying to start a podcast, Al can help you. That's the homie right there. So definitely want to give shouts out to him and the MPN Network. And yo,
And I can't wait to hear him spin.
oh, that's right.
Shout
He's
out
gonna
to
be
the Afros
spinning
and
with us in
Audios,
Afros
bro.
and Audio. Yo, listen. So y'all need to be coming and hanging out with us at Afros and Audio. Y'all get a chance to hang out and dance to Mr. I'm just trying to cut a rug. So I'm ready to cut a rug, and I know Mr. Al Pete is going to do that. So that's going to be fun. So, Sir Daniel, you may not have seen this yet because it's new, but I added something really cool to our website. So if you visit qpoints.com now, we now have a Good Pods badge because we are in their top 50 podcasts for music history. We're actually number 27 in all time. And I think this week we're like number 7 in for indie podcasts for music history. So we want to shout out Good Pods. We absolutely love them. If you all are not using Good Pods to listen to podcasts, we highly encourage it. It's just like any other podcast listening platform, but the difference is it's like Facebook for podcasts. So the people that you follow can see what you're listening to, and then they can listen to what you're listening to, and you can rate us. It helps us to move up on the charts. So you can add Good Pods to your phone. You can also listen to us on Good Pods online. So if you visit qpoints.com, right there on the homepage, you can click our little button and it'll take you to us on the Good Pods situation. So that's kind of dope.
Super dope. So glad to be a part of this body of Black creators and podcasters that are just doing the thing. Yeah, and part of what we do, J Ray, is we are constantly keeping our finger on the pulse of music, Black music, new, old, and I'm constantly scrolling through Instagram, and every now and then I have one of those moments where I immediately have to send J Ray something. I have to text him. I don't know what time of night it is. I'm going to text him. And when I saw this last week, I was completely flabbergasted. I was actually kind of disgusted because of what happened. So, we're in the midst of all these hip hop 50th anniversary celebrations. A lot of legends are being honored, and a lot of shows they're being booked. They're
Yeah.
booked and busy for a lot of gigs right now because people are realize that there was a golden era and the music was just dope, and we want to experience that, and we want, because you are still dope and you are still relevant and you still look good and you can perform, we want to see you live.
Yes.
And that's happening here in the United States. And of course, just like the past couple of shows that we had talking about the UK has countries full of voracious hip hop listeners. And so it was a no-brainer that they're going to have hip hop 50th anniversary celebrations overseas. Big Daddy Kane was performing at one of these hip hop celebrations in the United Kingdom. And the video, I happened upon the video, and he was performing. I think he was performing Raw. And all of a sudden, some masked person hops up on stage, and like literally Kane is in the middle of rhyming, and he hops up on stage wearing a ski mask, and everybody kind of, you can tell people are like starting to be like, what's going on, because who is that?
Right.
Automatically I'm thinking this is my old man bias, automatically I'm thinking it's some young person, you know doing what a lot of young people do, trying to have a moment on social media, trying to turn the spotlight onto them because they all have main character syndrome. But it was not, when we found out later on. But it continues to play out on the stage, and the person is just standing there. And Jerry, to this day, about these concerts, what is security doing these days? There are too many concerts where performers are getting violated while they are at work,
Yes.
while they are in the middle of performing. That man it was way too easy for him to get on stage.
Yes.
I didn't see not one person try to take him out. I didn't see nobody try to snatch him up off the stage and say, hey, get out of here.
Right.
He was able to get on there, stand in front of the stage, and interrupt this man while he is in the middle of performing.
Yes.
And it was so disturbing as I continued to watch. And then finally, Kane said, stop the music.
Yes.
He stopped the music and, and basically was like, listen, brother, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
I don't know what you're going through, but I'm in the middle of the performance. and he nicely asked him to please exit the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Kane Kane is a man in his 50s,
Yes.
but still very much with the shits.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kane was like, after old boy like ignored him and stood his ground, Kane was like, okay, well, I see we're gonna have to take this back to Bed-Stuy. And let me just go on and take off my performance jacket and put this out because he was gonna put them paws on this young man. And rightly so, because again, who are you? You are
Right.
an assailant standing on my stage while I'm at work wearing a ski mask, and I feel unsafe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and as it turns out, as we of course learned later, this was not a young person. This is so the artist that was on stage. We later learned is a rapper, a UK rapper by the name of Comanche Sly. Comanche Sly has been in the industry since '88. He was
Mhm.
actually signed to Rhyme. His group was signed to Rhyme Syndicate. They're called Hijack. They've been around for a super long time. So this is a man who him and Kane are in the same generation. So what was most strange for me when I learned that, and I think for both of us when we learned it, is like, what 50-year-old who's been in the music industry for this long behaves like this? And the reason that that Comanche was behaving the way that he was behaving was because his set got cut. That ain't had nothing to do with Big Daddy Kane at all. Like, this beef was not with Big Daddy Kane. But and he admitted as much in his response, is like, I don't have no problem with Master Ace or Big Daddy Kane, yet and still you chose to do that, right? So I was more confused as to why this grown man who this is your job too is disrupting someone's set when your problem is with the organizers and the promoters. That ain't got nothing to do with Big Daddy Kane. And the audience, it has nothing to do with the audience. The audience don't care. Big Daddy Kane is the headliner. They're there to see him.
I mean, up until the moment that I saw this on my Instagram feed, I had never heard of Comanche Sly. And mind you, I've heard of my fair share of UK rappers.
Mm-hmm.
We've
We
heard
did a
of our
whole
fair
show.
share. We did a whole show, exactly. And not one time during our show did Comanche Sly or the Hijackers come up.
Mm-hmm.
That's neither here nor there. Um, I What I found also disturbing is that in his rant to explain what happened, he claimed that his set was bumped.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody with receipts,
Mm-hmm.
another gentleman, said, "Well, the problem is that you did not show up for sound check." And ladies and gentlemen, as a musician, if you do not show up for sound check, you are really going in blindly into a situation because it's sound check. It's to check your sound, one, but also it's where they gather all the if it's
Yep.
a multiple act bill, it's where they gather the managers and the artists and say,
Here's
this is the
here.
lineup.
Yep.
This is who is going on, when, where, and what time.
Yep.
All of that is hashed out during sound check. According to this gentleman, he and his people, I guess because they felt like they were, too cool for school, and the big men on campus said, we don't have to show up for sound check, which a lot of people, a lot of artists tend to do, but those people end up, it shows in their show
Right.
that they didn't show up for sound check. So this gentleman came and got mad because he didn't know where he was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
He assumed where he was supposed to be, and he assumed that because he is a UK rapper, that the promoters were kissing, quote unquote, kissing the
Mm-hmm.
arse,
Mm-hmm.
the
Of the
arses
Americans.
of the Americans, and he was quite fed up with it. This is 30 plus years of him having apparently this happened 30 plus years ago when Master
It's the
Ace
Ace,
was in
right?
and same thing happened. My guy had been holding on to a grudge. Like Rakim said, I hold the microphone like a grudge. He was holding on to that argument from years ago, and he had just been fed up. He had been going on and on about how he and his crew left their wife and kids at home. Sir, Big Daddy Kane, Master Ace, traveled across several continents to get to and left his child.
Yeah.
He has a young child,
Yeah.
his family to be there. Master Ace has a family, has a wife, children. You got to come up with something better than that.
Yeah.
You are. So I did, but we did think it was very interesting because according to him, there is a long-standing beef between UK artists and American hip hop artists. And I was shocked. I had no clue.
I have never heard of that. I don't think that's real because they wouldn't have booked. They wouldn't be booking these artists to go. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard that. I even think of Kenny Parker. Shout out to DJ Kenny Parker. Check out his YouTube. When he was talking about his epic fails, one of them was like, yo, we was doing a show in the UK and I brought my records and da 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 da. And the DJ over there was like, helping Kenny, like, no, to get the crowd, play this specific record. And so they were in the UK, like, just like, this is what we do. So I don't think it was real. I think that was really unprofessional. And I guess age don't matter. I mean, because I like you. When I first saw it, I was like, this is some, I'm sorry, young people. We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't. This was a good and grown man.
It was the ski mask, y'all.
Yeah.
Real quick side note, young people that are listening to this, can you please explain to me and Uncle J Ray here, in this 90-degree weather, this hot as balls, like record-breaking temperatures of a summer of 2023, how are y'all still able to, one, rock ski masks, and two, rock hoodies in the summertime?
Hoodies, long jeans, full black. I'm like,
it's beyond me and a lot of people of our generation. Y'all not hot. That's the main thing that comes to my mind. You're not hot. I just want to be like, take that off. Right. And I know you're musty. Hot.
Right. I know you musty under there. That black is holding all that heat. It's a hoodie.
All of it.
It's almost 100 degrees. Child, it's too much.
It's too much.
Speaking of too much. Speaking of too much, I don't know any Asian Doll songs. That's no diss to Asian Doll. I don't know any Asian Doll songs. But apparently, was this a tweet that Asian Doll did? The Asian Doll said?
It was either a tweet or an Instagram post where she said that trying to rap over the age of 30, you sound crazy. I don't know if it was directed at somebody in particular, but over here at Key Points, we're gonna talk about it because we're over 40,
right?
And we're not rapping, but we're still talking about hip hop to this day because we're foundational. We're part of the culture that allowed you stand on our shoulders, basically. And ageism is alive and rampant, and it's alive and rampant specifically in Black music, where I do not understand why our white counterparts like Fleetwood Mac and the Rolling Stones can be wheeled out.
Sold out performances.
Wheeled out onto a stage in a gurney, a stretcher, or a wheelchair, and rock the house to a full stadium, and nobody mentions their age. Jimmy Buffett just passed away in his 70s, still rocking Kokomo Bay or
Yep.
all them songs, and still rocking all those people in a flamingo shirt, and will perform into a sold out crowd. We are the only people, for whatever reason, that like to throw away our artists after a certain age, and I just don't get it. I don't get where the ageism is coming from, especially when it comes to hip hop. Can rappers over a certain age um diversify their topics and
Yeah.
diversify what the music that they're rapping over? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But to say that you should, go to the retirement home and sit out in the corner is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I don't subscribe to that ministry. I'm with you. I listen. Nas is having the best time in his career right now. He is producing some of the most interesting hip hop of his career, and
Mhm.
he's what, 50 now? He's over 50, I think, at this
Mhm.
point.
Might be turning 50
Might be
this
turning
year,
50.
or yeah.
Black Thought is literally on this hip hop tour, rapping everybody else's raps with them.
The tour is being headlined by a man who is closer to 60 than he is
Yes,
50 now. I'm talking about LL
LL
Cool
Cool
J.
J.
I witnessed that man outperform any of your faves right now without breaking, without being winded. Come on, y'all. We got to do better. We have to put some respect on these people's names.
So going back to the conversation that you were having too about the Rolling Stones and the Jimmy Buffetts and the Fleetwood Macs and all of these people, the other really important part of that is these artists are performing to intergenerational crowds. And so
Yes.
I'm gonna put this on. I'm gonna own. So J Ray, I'm gonna own part of this, right?
Okay.
When I'm bringing up my cousins, I do need to take them. If I'm going to a show, I need to take one. I need to take one of my younger cousins who can come to that show, right? So that I can introduce, so that they can get introduced to these artists, right? So because that's the thing, the reason why these are intergenerational performances is because families would bring their children to the shows. So, you know what we got to do? We got to bring the kids to the shows. If Mary is performing and your child is of age and can come in, take your child so that they can hang out with you and they can enjoy Mary too. I think we have to start bringing these young folks to see these artists, and sometimes we got to suck it up. I've seen enough young rappers. I think I meet my quota of young rappers. I see enough of them. But we have to still, so we have to do that too, right? We have to go out and see folks of other generations and be in those audiences too. That's the thing, is I think, and I think Mark is saying that as well. That's how we were introduced to, artists like Jackie Wilson and Ethel Waters and Otis Redding, right? People would introduce them. So we have to introduce folks like Asian Doll. So some of these rappers that Asian Doll be around need to be calling her and be like, you coming with me to this 50th anniversary show.
Good point.
So you can
Absolutely a great
see
point.
how 50 plus year olds do it. Okay.
That's a really good point. And you're right. We do have to take ownership. We do need to start saying more. What y'all know about that? Y'all don't know nothing about this. Well, let me tell you.
Right.
It's so funny because recently I was at Crates and Crafts, which is a all vinyl hip hop set out in a dope beer garden here in Atlanta. And DJ Kerosene was started this conversation. He was like, I was talking to some young DJs and I invited them out here because a lot of the young people aren't involved in any of the hip hop 50 anniversary celebrations. They're not involved in the stuff that's celebrating the old school, but they're not doing anything to celebrate hip hop today. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're not, nothing has been done, or I haven't seen anything created by this young generation to say, hey, this is what we have. This is, this is our celebration of what hip hop is today. And that's partially on us.
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be some reaching back as well. There has
Yeah.
to be some type of curiosity
Yeah.
of what came before you. And again, that starts with us and playing and saying, hey, listen, Sir Daniel is going to be at Crates and Crafts on September 16th out at the Halfway Crooks Beer Garden,
Yeah.
which is really happening. And I would love for anybody that has young people to come out and they will experience these DJs, including myself, paying homage to music that somehow has shifted the culture, has helped create something that you're enjoying today that you thought may have been created only in your lifetime. It's just, and it's a moment for you to build and to learn something, because part of what hip hop is and was is a community aspect.
Yep.
And that I think has been lost a lot.
Yeah.
The community aspect, the intergenerational aspect of it all, we've lost that. We are divided, and it's sad. It's making things a lot harder. I think about the fact that 30 years ago, I could pop in Baby Faces for the Cool in You in the same car with my mother.
Yeah.
And we would be jamming together.
It's a hot record. It's a hot record.
So,
yeah. It came out actually August 24th, I think, 1993. So it just celebrated 30. And of course, Babyface in the 90s. A whole thing. Adrian talked about that, I think, when we were all together, right? Like the 90s were just a time that Babyface owned.
Superpowers. Height of his superpowers.
Height of his superpowers. And For the Cooling You was one of those records that we could. That's so dope, Sir Daniel. You're right. We could play that and enjoy it as hip hop, as young people, because we were young people, and like, that Babyface record is hot. Like, let's pop that in, and you can play it when you're driving around with your parents, and y'all can enjoy it together, and be like, my goodness, yes, and didn't feel away like it. It wasn't going to be nothing that they was going to be concerned about. More of that, like, it's okay. We learned, I did go through that period, and I'm curious for people in the chat if you went through the period of not liking or consciously not liking what your parents liked, even though you probably liked it a little bit. Like, when I was really young, I listened to a lot of what my parents listened to, right? So when I started developing my own identity, I was, I want to listen to this old stuff. But then by the time I got to high school, I was like, I like that though, so I'm gonna just be okay with liking it.
Listen, Never Keeping Secrets. It is like,
it's a great song.
Thank you, Joyce Littell. Thank you, Quiet Storm, for keeping those songs ringing in our ears. Like, we were jamming to that kind of stuff. Jerry, do you remember? This was a primetime television moment when, what was the name of the show? Family Matters introduced the new alter ego of Steve Urkel. What was his name?
Stefan Urkel.
Stefan Urkel. They introduced this new character at a party that Laura was having at the house. J-Ray, why were they listening to the Cool in You by Babyface?
Because it was a dope
Busted
song.
Eye in a Dance.
It was a dope song. See, Even Laura and Stefan Urkel was listening to Babyface's for the Cooling You. Y'all not too damn cool.
Did a whole routine, and everybody would join in and did the routine to the song. And I'm like, you're trying to get young people to do something like that today to this kind of music, or to something that you can compare it to today, and they'll look at you like you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we know it was television, but it really could have happened. It really could have happened. They were in that show was based in Chicago, right? So
Yeah, the show was based in Chicago. So yeah.
so that's the stepper culture. So
Mm-hmm.
they really could have been dancing to Babyface's "The Cooling You."
I think that's hilarious. I'm sure this is available on YouTube. I honestly I don't remember. I don't remember that episode. I'm sure I saw it, but I'm gonna look on YouTube. But yeah, Stefan Urkel and interesting Babyface related. Also turning 30, or also turned 30 this year. It's Tony Braxton's debut album, which
Ooh,
top to bottom dope, like all day, like
you talking about heat?
so much heat. When Another Sad Love Song came out, I was like, this right here is the grooviest thing I had ever heard. It was just, and I think, let me see. Is Breathe Again's your favorite, isn't it?
Oh my God,
Yeah,
Breathe
okay.
had me in a chokehold, a complete chokehold.
7 whole days. There was just so many joints on that debut record. And quick shout out. So In the Mix with Leah B did talked about the Tony Braxton record, the anniversary of Tony Braxton. So once y'all download Good Pods too, y'all could go ahead, not only follow Q Points, go ahead and follow In the Mix with Leah B and listen to the show about the Tony Braxton joint. But yeah, go back and revisit those 93 records. I'm curious to know. Let us know, so y'all can shoot us a message on Instagram or send us an email. Let us know, what are some of your favorite records or songs from 1993, because they are 30 years old now. Sir Daniel, that's crazy.
1993 is the year I graduated high school.
Yep.
So I've been out of high school for 30 years now. Wow, where does the
I
time
was
go?
16, getting my license. Thought I knew something, because you think you know things at 16.
You think you know things. You think you know things at 16 to 18. Wow. Yeah, I think that's a whole show in and of itself. But yeah, the Janet album came
Janet
out.
albums came. Oh, we got to talk about that record, right? We got to talk about that, because that's a
Janet
oh
album.
God.
We're getting into Crystal Water Surprise. House music is really starting to reach its heights, and so much was going on in 1993. SWV's album,
that's right,
which came out in 92, was still peaking in 93.
Yeah.
So much. 93 was a magical year. 88 was my favorite year, and that this is our 88 series, a year that we're in. But 1993 is a close second as far as music is concerned.
Yeah.
Of course, the year we graduated from, or I graduated from high school, that it means a lot that year. Yeah. And we had great music to accompany it and to be the soundtrack of our lives. And I thank you for joining us, listener, as we talk about the soundtrack to your life as well, and you joining us and making Q Points a part of your life, and going through these memories with us, and teaching and keeping the recipes, holding on to those recipes, and making sure that you share them. And you can do that by sharing our show with your friends. Share it with a young person. Find 3 young people and insist that they check out Q Points and listen or watch the show. Jerry, tell them how they can share that and how these young people can check us out.
Yeah. So first of all, if you are wherever you are listening or watching, make that the method, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you could subscribe there, you could share from there. That's fine. We are literally everywhere you could think of that has podcasts. Internationally too, we're on Afropods. We have our listeners on the continent who check out Q Points. Certainly in India, we have our shout out to our folks in India. Shout out to all of our folks up in Canada, our Canadian cousins up there who check out Q Points. So that's the first and foremost thing. Definitely just share it with folks wherever you're listening, and then they can check us out wherever. But definitely we want to be able to communicate with y'all. So join the mailing list. You know what I'm saying? Join the mailing list. We share additional information. We are going to keep this chat because y'all are dropping things in the chat. I think that'll be a good playlist. So we might have to drop some stuff that's specific for the mailing list from this show about Q Points, like some of our favorite 93 tracks. So let's definitely do that. But join the mailing list at magazine.qpoints.com. And yeah, that's really the main stuff, y'all. Listen, subscribe, tell your friends, join the mailing list. That's it.
Awesome. Well, we have some surprises coming up in the next few episodes. I think you all definitely want to make sure you stick around. We thank you always for checking out Q Points and for supporting us as well. Like J Ray said, please take advantage of the newsletter so you can find out how you can join us next month at Afros and Audio Podcast Festival in Baltimore, and just continue being safe.
Yeah.
COVID is spinning the block, so please, everybody, make sure you be safe. We are coming back. We are coming back in the next few weeks, and want to make sure that you're there with us. Not coming back. We're gonna have a show next week.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we want you to come back, and COVID is trying to make a comeback also. But so please be safe. And the winter months are coming. Cold and flu season is coming. So please take care of yourself and your health. And make sure you keep that music pumping. But J Ray, what do I always say? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
My name is J Ray, y'all.
And this has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We'll see you on the next go round. Peace.
Peace.